We're up. We're up. We're live.
That's hilarious because I was responding to a ticket. As well. So I was just like, oh, I think we're supposed to be up. And then here we were. So, hey there, everybody. How's everybody doing? Happy Tuesday. And dang, man, the week is just going. It's going.
Just going and going and going. I'm so tired. Neck hurts. Freaking.
What the heck are you tired from?
Life. I don't know. Life. I mean, I understand. It's not like I did much today, physically at least.
What's up, Fozzie?
You know? What's up, Fozzie?
Yeah, I will say that everybody, I want to apologize for the stream yesterday. So I went to work early, got there about a little bit before 8, so like around like 7:30, just before 7. Work, John, look it up. That's what I'm about to talk about. And so I thought, oh, it's going to be the usual. I'm going to get off work at 6 p.m. Our stream is at 9 p.m. Joke's on me. I got off work at like 9 p.m. and then still had like 45 minutes to drive home. So, you know, yeah, it's backbreaking labor. But, you know, luckily, everybody that I worked with said that this was the hardest job that was just a nightmare because we had to fix other people's problems the whole time. So,
ain't that what they said the last job, though?
Well, no, this has been the same job. It's been like 6
months. You're still on the same job.
Yeah, it was supposed to only be 2 to 3 days tops. We're on day 7, baby. And today we couldn't finish. We got a vapor barrier down. And so because we're going to be waiting probably until we have some nice weather, we get to sand it all again. That's the best part.
Right.
But shout out to Fozzie. How are you doing? Let's see. Nothing worse than redoing someone's mistakes. That's exactly right.
Yep.
But
doing all right. Got another referral for MRI. Gonna have to pay it out of pocket. It's always nice. Insurance sucks. Bunch of freaking haters. And guess my insurance company, United Healthcare.
Oh, you love it, right?
You love it.
So all of your data is publicly available.
Yeah.
They were that one big one that got hacked ages ago.
Yeah.
Well,
I was thinking more along the line. I don't want to bring it up because I don't want to talk about it on our stream, but I was thinking more along the lines of the story that happened in New York several months ago. I know you know who I'm talking. I think you know who I'm talking about. Biggest racket going. Yes, Fozzie. They are a racket. But we had some interesting stuff happen over the weekend. Mantra crashing 90%.
That was crazy. Yeah. You sent me that chart and I didn't believe it. And then I went to go look at what was going on in the market. I was like, oh my gosh, Mantra's down 90%. Bitcoin must be down 15. No.
Nope.
That wasn't the case.
Nope.
And I woke up this morning and I saw the pumpage. I saw the massive pumpage. I mean, like Bitcoin was up like 9%. When I looked at it earlier today. I don't know if it's maintained it. I don't know what's been going on since then, but I woke up to a massive pump. I was like, maybe things are working out.
No, we're sitting at 83.2. I think it had a negative day. I'm not too sure. I'd have to look at the daily candles. But yeah, that was weird. I was out running errands Saturday. I think it was Saturday. Or no, Sunday. I was out running errands Sunday when I seen that. I was like, oh. I was like, man. Kind of glad we sold all our Mantra now.
So besides some of the evidence and stuff that we're going to show here tonight, before I saw that video, I was going to talk to you about, and I was going to say, I feel like the thesis hasn't changed and maybe it would be a good time to accumulate. That was what I was thinking before I saw what you tagged me in.
Right. See, and I was thinking the same thing, but because I like the plan, I like everything about it, but now obviously you can't trust the founder.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
whether just out of sheer stupidity or malicious intent, we don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I
But,
definitely think it's absolutely crazy to just like, yeah, I did. Yeah, it was me.
Yeah.
Well,
you know what? Let's. You got the video queued?
I have. Let me get to it. I have it bookmarked, so I got it here. I thought it was just
Actually, let me run the video from my end.
Okay.
Because I do believe it'll come across better though. But yeah, with your internet and everything like that.
Yep.
So let me share this tab instead.
Here in America, worst internet in the world.
It's crazy that seems to be the case. I got a call today. So I'm at work and I get a call from Cox Internet. And they're like, "Hey, we're here at the house. We're getting ready to dig the trench." I was like, I'm not there. I don't live there yet. You know, I was like, I'm not moving in for a month. And they're like, "Oh, well, you know," I was like, "Well, hold on," you know. So I started having to call a bunch of people to go over there and make sure they had access to the backyard because my sister-in-law doesn't have fiber. And if I'm going to be moving in there, even for a couple months, I'm getting fiber installed. So I was like, "What?" I was like, no appointment, no nothing. They just called me. They're like, "Yeah, we're standing out front, you know, middle of the work week.
We're gonna start digging."
We're here to dig a trench. You know, like, what the hell? But anyways, that's another thing. So let's see here. Boom.
Appreciates,
boom.
Right? Do you regret
Can you hear it?
pumping the price?
I don't feel
make it big.
I or the team pumped the price.
You did though. You sold OTC, then you re-injected it back in the chart, right? That's pumping the price.
I mean, I think we're gonna have to agree to disagree, but
Wait. No. This is not a matter of agreeing to disagree. This is just a statement of definitions. Okay. Pumping is when the price meaningfully appreciates, right?
Sure.
Usually it involves somebody who's inside the token or wants the token to go up. They put in some amount of money to make the price go up. When you OTC dealing, you get some Tether or whatever you get, USDC, whatever. And then you say to your market maker, "Hey, I just want you to buy for the next whatever months."
Sure.
That is pumping the price. Yes or no?
Sure. Yes.
Do you regret pumping the price?
I don't feel like I or the team pumped the price.
You did though. You sold.
So the thing with this is that, I mean, yes, they pumped the price using market makers and everything like that. But what dumped the price?
Yeah.
Because I don't think they sold. They said they didn't sell. I mean, they said they've been selling OTC as it went up and then obviously funneling it back in and buying spot to push the price up. So you're pumping the price, which in my mind isn't a bad thing. But what made it dump?
So here is what it was. I think this is the one, but basically this company, Laser Digital, it denies involvement in Mantra's crash. And it was found that they didn't have any involvement with the crash. But basically what they're saying is, despite early reports, the capital is denied sending any OM to exchanges. Mantra team claims the crash was a result of wider market pressure and liquidation cascade. And so one of the things that happened was that they had sent some a good amount of token to Binance for staking.
Mm-hmm.
And Binance had sent it back because the staking period had finished and people had seen these massive movements. And then so some people started selling, and then apparently there was a bunch of leverage on exchanges, and then so it caused a cascade of liquidations where there was an exchange that was unnamed that basically took on a bunch of these Mantra positions and liquidated them. So they're blaming the exchange, and they're blaming the cascade of liquidations across exchanges. They didn't name the exchange though. So
But
in the
still,
article that I was
to lose 90, that's one hell of a long squeeze. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's because that's what it would be. You know, people sell, people get liquidated. It acts like a sell. It pushes down even further. More people get liquidated, and it's a domino effect. It's a long squeeze, right? But that's one hell of a long squeeze. I'm just saying that tells me
one
that
long squeeze.
that to me means that it was most of the tokens. It was either extreme leverage or like a good percent of the supply was set up in long positions. So now whose positions were those would be my next question. Were they the team or team adjacent positions?
Yeah.
They were using that also to pump the price by putting in these huge longs and keeping the price. Because you noticed when everything started crashing, Mantra like went down the least.
Yeah.
You know, because it was at what, $8. It only dropped to like $6 or something like that. You know, what's that, 25%? Where all these
I
other
remember us
tokens are
covering
down 75.
Yeah.
So that right there is super sketchy. We'll never know everything. I mean, CoffeeZilla can do his interviews, and he's not a chain analysis type of guy, I don't think. But I'm sure he has people that work for him as chain analysts. So maybe more information will come out. I don't know. But
Yeah, but
I'm looking like a superstar for selling all that Mantra and putting it in
absolutely. They're saying now that the next thing is that they have $109 million Mantra ecosystem fund that launched April 7. They said that fund had a mixed, like, diverse holdings. And so they're still going to use it, and it sounds like they're going to start buying back their token.
It's only $109 million though.
I mean, you're right, but I think that it's interesting that they're talking about buying back their token.
Right. I did see that. I've seen something about that, about buying back at a certain price. But I don't know, bro. That's
But you know, it's a deal for them. If they buy back at a certain price and they made all the difference in that market crash.
right. If they've been slowly bleeding their treasury OTC and making all that money and then dumping it back in spot, I mean, they're not going to lose anything.
Yeah.
But it's not something I would put my money in anymore. That's it's
But originally I was like, that'd be a good idea. You know, if you see one of your conviction plays down and the fundamentals have not changed,
right,
it's an opportunity. We will say definitely in this occasion, the fundamentals have changed. We saw how they handled it, and we saw what they were doing. And this is already bad faith. But, you know, the truth is that this could have just been somebody like BlackRock, you know, with their own thing, just deciding to, like, boom. Like, they could have done it. They could have seen all these long positions and then been the ones that force sold a bunch of their positions in order to crash the price as well, right? Because they have Ondo, right?
It is possible. It could be some kind of like, you know, cyber espionage, whatever, you know.
Yeah, because I mean, then, you know, they shorted on the other side too. Shout out to Crypto
Shorting. Opening a massive short position is going to act as the same thing. It's going to act as a sell. So you don't. So a lot of these big boys, that's how they do it when they hedge their bets, right? So they'll open a short. Okay, here's an example. Say I got $200 million worth of Bitcoin. I open like a $30 million short, right? But then I sell on spot like 10 or 20 million in Bitcoin. So it drops the price. I get out of that short position, and then I buy the Bitcoin back up, either OTC or spot. So you make the money, you know what I mean? So you actually push the price down to fulfill your short, and then just recoup all your stuff.
Yeah.
And then rinse and repeat. Takes big money to do stuff like that, though.
Yeah, you can't do that with Bitcoin like you used to be able to. There's some awesome videos of crypto face where he was literally pushing the price up and down, and he's just you're just watching him move the whole market. Can't do that now. It's tough. We're talking about almost $3 trillion market cap.
Big difference.
Yeah. Night and day.
Yeah.
But without further ado, let's get into the market update. Let's see what's going on. We're going a little bit behind.
Let's reset. So everybody, do us a favor, hit that like button, subscribe, and notification bell if you're on YouTube. If you're on X, tag some DJs, give us a repost, all that good stuff. We go live Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. PST, bringing you the daily news nightly. All right, so let's see. Let's get a little refresh here. Boom, down 3.4% today. TradFi was also down. It started green and turned red. Coming in at $2.7 trillion. Low volume for a Tuesday, especially Tuesdays are usually the best days to trade, Tuesdays, Wednesdays. And we got super low volume coming in at 82 billion. Bitcoin dominance at 60.8. Ethereum still dropping, almost down to 7%. That's crazy. Less than one way to send an ETH transaction. So we got Bitcoin coming in at 83,370, down 1.6. Ethereum at 1589, down 2. XRP at 208, down 1.9. BNB at 578, down 0.9. Solana at 125, down 2.2. Tron at 2507, down 0.2. Doge at 1537, down 2.8. And Cardano back down to 6116, down 3.4. Let's find Sweet. Still in the top 20, coming in at 209, down 4.2. Let's look at the biggest gainers on the day, if there even is any. Tokenized exchange is up 12%. Story IP is up 9%. Dexy's up 8.7%. Curve is up 3.6%. OKB's up. And Tether Gold is up. So I read an article today about Paxo Gold and Tether Gold, and they just put in their highest volume days ever. So I think Pax had like 728 million in volume. I guess no, that's boom. So this says 69 million. Maybe it was over the period of a month, but it was talking about how the gold, tokenized gold, has been putting in massive volumes as people are like trading into it. You know, they're seeing an inflow of money. So that's cool.
Interesting.
Super crazy. But I mean, it makes sense. You know, now that you got tokenized gold, you know, you could use that as a trading pair. I don't know how many exchanges actually have it as a trading pair, you know, but instead of using the dollar, you use gold to trade in and out of. Just like back in the day, you would use Bitcoin and Dogecoin trade in and out of, you know. You would use Dogecoin to trade in and out of Bitcoin and vice versa. But, I mean, it's an appreciating asset. Look, it's up. They're both up. Gold is up 1.6, 1.5. So, let's see the biggest losers on the day. Pi is down 16.3. Fart Coin's down 8.2. Flare down 7.8. Bonk down 7.1. Render down 6.8. Avalanche down 6.1. And a pretty good set of red. You know,
where's Mantra at with this? Can we wait? Will you look at the 7 day?
It's done right. Here's Mantra. Mantra's actually up 28%, but it's fallen out of the top 100. That's why it's not showing.
Yeah,
See,
it's crazy.
it's at 103 now. But look at that. That's a freaking
That's
banger right
crazy.
there.
Literally a
Oh.
flat ending.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. What is that? That's there's the 7-day right there.
Sheesh.
I know.
Somebody made some money.
Huh?
Somebody made some money. It wasn't us, but somebody made some money.
Somebody made money. I guarantee
Yeah.
that. So, well, basically that is it. That is where the market is at. You know what? Let me see what the pre-market is real quick.
Change your screen.
Aha.
There you go.
So pre-market, Dow's down 142, S&P down 46, NASDAQ down 273. And we closed in the red. Not too red, but we did close. The VIX came down a little bit. The Russell 2K closed in the positive. What's Asia doing? The Aussie index is up. The Nikkei's down 0.5%, and looks like Shanghai is flat. India and Hong Kong have not opened yet. So that is where we are at. That is the state of the market. More to come later in the show.
All right. So then let's hear a message from our sponsors. Join us at Rare Evo, the top blockchain conference, August 6th through 10th, 2025, at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas. The top blockchain projects like Algorand, Midnight, HBAR, ICP, Thorchain, and Igon, and many more are going to be there. This is definitely a must for blockchain enthusiasts and fans. Use discount code CryptoNightly to save on your tickets and to support the channel. Don't miss it. We can't wait to see you there. It's going to be a blast. Oh, well, there we go. Boom. So this is what I got for us. So Binance, Kucoin, and MEXC reported some service issues due to AWS. AWS was down for a while, and so a lot of these top exchanges had massive issues that people were really freaking out about. And this is because they are using the cloud infrastructure on AWS, right? Which this is a central point of vulnerability. It's ironic that crypto and blockchain is all about decentralization. So that way these systems are impervious to centralized attacks. So this was basically a centralized attack, or like one point of failure. So I don't know if anybody out there, let us know if you had any problems during these service issues and if you noticed, right? Because there were a lot of people freaking out on the internet about it. They were like, oh my God, money's gone. I can't move it. I can't trade, you know? So there's a whole lot of crying on the internet. You know,
Another
Twitter is
reason
where
why
people
you
go.
don't leave your money on centralized exchanges.
Yep. And remember, well, I'm afraid to get sued, but we'll say some exchanges have a tendency to almost always go down and not let you withdraw or trade during the hottest, most exciting parts of the market. So this is why self-custody is important.
And that would be Coinbase that he doesn't want to mention. I'll say it. What are you going to sue me for?
Yeah. But and then this one's pretty bullish for Third Patriot. So shout out to Third Patriot out there. The XRP ETFs likely next to get SEC approval, beating Doge and Solana. So XRP exchange traded funds may be the next SEC approved product that gives investors exposure to crypto, according to data from Kaiko. So there we go. XRP. We like XRP. This is one of those ETFs that we expected. I don't know. I'm surprised. You know, I figured that they would IPO already. I was expecting that.
Yeah. But they were, I mean, Ripple was still, I mean, it's just now come to a head, the whole lawsuit with Ripple. You know, they settled on the 50 million. and everything should be cut dry, cut and clear now. But if you notice further in that article, they talk about one of the main reasons why XRP will be first is because we already have a 2x futures XRP. And both of those came first when it comes to Bitcoin and Ethereum also. You had Bitcoin futures, you had Bitcoin or Ethereum futures, and then those came into play. Now you got an XRP futures, a 2x future. And so it just makes sense that it'll be the first one.
Yeah,
it does
and it
go
was
on to
crazy.
Cardano in the article also.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really exciting. It's crazy that when we think back to Bitcoin, like Bitcoin got the futures ETF before the spot. And that's crazy that there was such contention around spot when spot makes sense, right? Spot is like 1 for 1. You have to have like the asset underlining the thing, but they just straight up were like, nope, we just want market manipulation first, and then we'll have a true market that's represented 1 for 1.
And it's weird. I never understood that either, because you made a valid point. Spot is 1 to 1. It is what it is. But I think Bitcoin futures came out like in 2021, right?
Came out really early.
It was like the top of the market. When futures got launched, it was the top of the market. So it might have been 2017.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they shorted the whole way down with leverage.
Right. So,
but anyways, yeah. So we love this XRP and everything. So this was crazy. Did you hear about the ZK Sync hack?
No.
Okay. So a hacker was able to mint $5 million in ZK tokens after compromising the ZK Sync admin account. So this is a little bit unique in the sense that the hacker didn't like mint new tokens that weren't in circulation. What they did was they actually basically stole airdropped tokens that had been unclaimed worth 5 million. So they took these unclaimed tokens, and that was how they did it. But this is pretty crazy. Obviously, the admin account must have been compromised with like phishing or some kind of social engineering, because that's typically the way that these things happen. But yes, ZK Sync is one of the biggest, most exciting, I think, projects on Ethereum.
And so this isn't a bad mark against the tech of ZK Sync. It's not like the tech was exploited.
Yes,
the admin account was exploited.
This means a person was hacked. And that was manipulated. But the tech, I think, is exciting. ZK Sync provides account abstraction and also very low fees. So this is kind of like Polygon, but with privacy. That was the whole thing. Polygon was like a roll-up on Ethereum. ZK Sync is similar. It is like a roll-up on Ethereum where you're able to batch a bunch of transactions for much cheaper than it would cost doing it on Ethereum. But this also gives you privacy and a much smoother use and everything. And I remember Aaron talking about how he really enjoyed the experience, I believe, on ZK Sync. So
now that we're talking about this, I did see, DB Crypto. I did see him arguing with somebody about ZK Sync, and I'm like, I didn't read it, so I was like, what are these guys arguing about ZK Sync? Now it makes sense, because they were talking about, oh, well, this isn't good and that isn't good. I was like, I don't understand this tech shit, so I'm going to keep scrolling. But now it makes sense what they were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. And then OpenSea, we know that OpenSea is just one of those good actors in the space that really cares about the people. So they've decided to add Solana trading ahead of their C token launch. So long-running NFT marketplace, OpenSea has added support for Solana's fungible tokens trading as part of an overhaul in their expansion. So they basically tried to become an NFT marketplace and not even a DEX, but we'll say a centralized exchange. because we already know OpenSea has a history of insider trading, of bad practices against the customers. And so, yeah, there's definitely some things there with OpenSea, some skepticism around what they're doing and their management. But OpenSea NFT marketplace been around for a while, now has Solana trading right before they launch their token, probably on Solana. So I'm sure it's not,
that.
Right. Yeah, imagine that. I thought this was interesting also. So I really like privacy on chain, especially in this from the Sui Foundation. So they're going to have this protocol called Nautilus, and it'll bring verifiable off-chain privacy to Sui. So there will be computations and things that actually happen off-chain. This is something that is necessary for scalability. Everything can't be on-chain right now. It is very heavy and labor-intensive. So basically what one way to get around that is to do a bunch of computations off-chain and then prove them on-chain. And so Nautilus is actually going to be doing that, but on Sui. So this will make like processing time for certain transactions a lot faster because they're handled in a centralized way off-chain, but it's proven that they were handled appropriately on-chain. So it's kind of like there's a summary, right? Instead of Sui reading the whole book, somebody else reads the whole book and then tells Sui, hey, this book was great, or whatever. They gave him the cliff notes. Sui's like, I just need the cliff notes. I don't have time to read all that, right? So there we go.
Well, it also helps. I guess it would help with like scaling, because I never understood. So every action on blockchain costs a transaction fee. Everything. Everything you do costs a transaction fee. So it's kind of the same way with like these games. How can these games run on top of the blockchain, like literally on top of it, when every little action every change would be like a micro transaction, so.
Yep. And that's one of the big things with Web3 gamings. Yeah, you basically have to have a large amount of the information off-chain because you can't run every frame. So that's what's special about Cardano Doom on Hydra. Hydra is actually running every single frame as you're playing the game. But we've talked about this before, and Aaron has talked about it before. If you can get 1 million transactions per second, there's not a lot of real-world use cases you have for that, unless you're like keeping time. Which, in theory, if everything was run on or connected to a blockchain, you would want a blockchain to keep time, and then you would have a lot of other blockchains that would probably use that blockchain's time as their reference, right? So
and you're talking like, you're not just talking like a clock, you're talking like the atomic clock.
Yes.
Keeping time. You know what I mean? That's not just keeping time on the blockchain. That wouldn't require 1 million TPS per second, but keeping the atomic clock style time,
like all of the time,
every time, down to like whatever the smallest amount of time measurement is, nanosecond, whatever it is, with no lag and no speeding up or slowing down or something like that. Yep. I'm not going to get into that right now, actually.
Well, so there we go. On that note, I guess before we go into trading, we would like to remind everybody that this is Crypto Nightly. We're here bringing you the daily news nightly, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. PST. And so hit that like button, give us the repost, share this with a friend. If everybody in here were to share this with a friend, we'd have twice as many people in here, and we appreciate you guys.
Yes,
we do this research for you and present to you all the stuff that you might have missed, so you don't have to worry about it, right? So without further ado,
introducing the relaunch of JPEG Boss Mint, a game changer in the NFT world. This isn't just another mint. It's a community-governed project where you hold the power. Here's the deal. 50% of all mint funds feel a community investment wallet controlled by boss holders like you, driving collective growth. The proceeds, 60%, go straight back to active participants, rewarding your engagement. 20% powers overhead and expansion. And the final 20% flows to JPEG Empire until the seed funding's repaid. Join the revolution, mint with purpose, govern the future, and reap the rewards. And, oh, we're still sharing John's screen. I didn't remove it. There we go. Well, I probably don't have the news that everybody is looking for. We are not. I've seen all these people saying, we're back, the bottom's in, blah, 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 blah.
I told you there was a big pump this morning when I looked at it and I was like, that's kind of sus. You know, we've been like going down and we're doing a pump. So like now that I see that trend line right there, this is not as exciting. Then this probably was a bull trap this morning. The positivity of the morning was probably a bull trap.
Pretty sure the past few days. So we talked about this. What is the 13th? Where is... Oh, wait a minute. What's going on here? Okay. Saturday, Friday. So I think it was Friday when it pumped, and I drew this, trend line because I said XRP is similar. You know what I mean? If you look at XRP, it's similar, right? And we are clearly in a falling channel. And I said, we are probably going to pump to the top of this, but that doesn't mean we're going to break through and go to Valhalla. We're probably going to come back down, and this red box down here is still in play. I mean, we may not come down like past this lower low, but even if we come to this lower low right here, we're talking $76,000. RSI or the Stokes are extremely overbought when you look on the daily and has turned bearish. So, I mean, that's a long ways. If we reset on the Stokes, I mean, it's not just going to go straight down. Even if we took this one right here from like where it crossed from, that's the 27th to like the 31st, so that was like a 3-day move right there, right? So once again, so we hit right at the trend line, boom, and we've been bouncing our head. RSI is still below the 50. Remember what I always say. This is bearish territory. This is bullish territory. So if we are below the 50, we are in a major bear trend. If we are above the 50, especially bouncing up in this area, we are in a major bull trend, right? Well, as you can see, we are right at the 50. We broke it, and that would have been Saturday. So that's right here when we hit. Let's make this a little bigger. So boom. So we broke it right Saturday, and that was when we hit our head on this trend line, and then we red candle, green candle, red candle, red candle. So especially if this breaks, if we break back below this 50, which I mean we pretty much are, we're at 49.8. I can see us coming back down on the RSI, at least down here to retest the median, probably break through it. And then the same with the Stokes. When you're looking at the Stokes, we're topped. So we're hitting our head on the trend line, and not just the trend line. We pumped Saturday, smacked our head on this SR level at 85 grand, 85.5, we'll say. Boom, dropped down. Wick to it again, couldn't maintain it, right? And then today, boom, we wicked above it and then dropped down again. And this is probably the big pump that
I see all
John
those
seen
wicks.
today. You've
I
probably
see all
seen
those.
that pump. Huh?
Yeah, I was gonna say I see all of those wicks, and I just think bearish, 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 because it's like we
Yeah.
tried to move up so much, and there was just enough sell pressure we couldn't.
Yeah.
Right, that's kind of like the reversal candles, right? When you see the
Yeah, like a
tweezer
tweezer
bottom.
top.
This
Tweezer
is a
top,
tweezer
tweezer
top,
bottom.
but it's got two houses. Both
Yeah.
houses have tweezer tops on top. So you know what I mean?
And
The base.
when you see candles like this, especially look at them. These ones have no wicks on the bottom, none. So that's all top. You know, here the bulls and the bears are fighting it out. You know, we got a little bit of bearishness. The bulls take over, they push it up. The bears pull it back a little bit, and then we go to the next candle. The bulls try to push it up. The bears are like, nah, buddy, we're coming all the way back down here. And then their bulls are like, oh, that's too low. We're going to bring it back up here. So that's the bears and the bulls fighting it out, meeting in the middle right here with the bulls winning and the bears winning, right? This is the bulls just coming in strong, pushing it, and the bears be like, whoa, 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 that's a little too much. Let's take it back a little bit. So they're like, all right. So then today the bulls are like, well, let's try this again. They push it, and the bears are like, nah, I don't think so. So not only do they rip it back to the starting point, they dump it. And there's no wicks, no bottom wicks on those. So that to me is bearish. I mean, the weekly, when we come out to the weekly, it does. Here, let me see here. Get that. Now on the weekly, it looks good. You know, the Stokes are super, super oversold. They're very reset. They're ready to rock. You know, the price action's going sideways. This could turn, but this is going to take weeks to play out. Weeks. You know, so it could pop back down from here. The next candle is 6 days away, 7 days or 5 days away. So it could take to there. And then this still might only go up a little bit. You know, the RSI is well below the 50 in the bearish territory. So while the macro looks good, because we've never stayed oversold like this for so long, like we are right now, you know, we're talking locally. Obviously, we've definitely stayed down here. Look, back in. Oh, look at that. That's March of 21 right there. Look how long we stayed down there. You guys remember that? You guys remember the pump at the end of April, and then we sold off when Coinbase IPO'd right about here, right? So that's what I'm seeing on Bitcoin. And when we go down to the 4 hour, even zooming in a little bit.
Oh, here's a question.
Can see what?
Do you think I can't remember which ones it was, but I think it was crypto.com, and I think there was maybe another one. Do you think that those exchanges, if they IPO, I think it might have been eToro or something, or something. Do you think those exchanges are going to IPO at the top? Like, you think it'll be the top?
Crypto.com? No, because I don't believe Crypto.com is an American company.
Gotcha. Then
Because
I can't remember what it was. There was
Americans,
or was it Gemini? It was Gemini. It was Gemini.
Maybe, Gemini could.
Do you think that they're going to IPO and that will be the top?
The top? Ooh.
Yeah. Do you think that they're going to IPO at the top like Coinbase did? Take all that money, you know what I mean, and then just like go on a vacation?
They could. I can definitely see. I don't know if there's any news about it or if they talked about it, but I could definitely see Gemini IPOing. You know what I mean? They're already in the. Huh?
They said that there's talk and that they've been talking about IPOing, but I'm saying, do you think that when they do IPO, that will be the top? Like Coinbase hit the top.
It's definitely a top signal. That's for sure. Whether they mark the top or they time it so they IPO at the top are two different things. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's quite possible. Quite possible.
Yeah, I think that when Gemini IPOs, we're gonna have to have a moment of silence on the show for the market.
It's definitely a sell the news type of thing. Buy the rumor, sell the news. So if we come down a little smaller, we come down to the 4 hour. You can see here, this is obviously the run up. Wednesday. This is Thursday, Friday. Boom, boom, boom. Hit our head. We break the 200. Very good. Very good. Boom. That's the model, right? You break the 200. You come down, you retest, you wait for the 21, and we take off. Well, this one did do that. It started to do that. And then once again, hit its head at 85.5. Barely broke out of the thing. Now it's fallen down. Now it's fighting for its life to maintain the 200 on the 4 hour. So if we lose the 200 on the 4 hour, definitely back in bear territory. So we're definitely falling. And you can see, I don't know if we're going to lose the 200 though on the 4 hour. Not immediately, because Stokes have reset. Mind you, they could go sideways for a while the price comes down. But RSI has been above the 50 line. It did lose the 14 moving average and lost the 50, but it's starting to curve. It's got a nice rounded bottom on it. So we could see another run at the trend line and then maybe break down again, or we could just see it fall out and this turn to the negative and we stay down here. But this is not the time to be longing the market, especially nobody's interested right now. When you only have $82 billion worth of volume in crypto on a Tuesday, which is, like I said, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, look it up. Tuesdays and Wednesdays are the most volume. Late Monday night, Tuesday, Wednesday, early Thursday. That is the best time to trade. Ask any trader, ask CryptoFace, ask Lifer, any of those guys. They're going to say that is the liquidity time, right? So, oh, and look, we're losing it right now. Oh no, that's my bad. It just turned color. It looked a lot, the wick looked a lot bigger when I had everything smaller. It looked like an actual candle, but no. So let's come down here. Let's look at Cardano real quick. We still have some time. Cardano has not been able to reclaim the 4 hour, so we are still bearish on Cardano. All days are good days. Yes. But when we're talking about liquidity, then and you're using leverage, those are the best days. But yes, all days are good days for degens. So let's look Cardano 4 hour. We're really oversold on the stochastics, but we're below every moving average on the 4 hour. We lost the 50, the 21, the 200. We're in a volume gap. We're barely above 59.5, which is an SR level, which we lost back here. I could very well see us retesting this and then maybe taking off. But it looks like the Stokes have turned positive. Yeah, we got the cross on the Stokes. But we got it here also, and it barely came back to 20. Dumped. Barely got back to 31. Dumped. And you can see we're putting in a lower low every time. So we might make it. We might put it in another higher high, like these ones right here. But I don't think that's going to be enough to push it. RSI is turned up, but we are below the 50. So we are in that bearish territory. We are below the 14 moving average. So the strength of the market is in that bear trend. Let's look at the daily. Obviously well below the 200 on the daily. I mean, the 200 is way up here at like 74, 75. And just like Bitcoin, look at that. Our Stokes are overbought. We're rolled over. We're coming down. Our RSI is in bear territory. What is this? What was this spike right here? Put a little vertical line on that real quick. Oh, we had that massive pump. Yeah. So that was that massive pump. That would have been March 2nd. Boom. March 2nd. That would have been Oh,
Was that
that's the
Derek
Trump
pause?
tweet. That's the Trump tweet.
Yeah, I was going to say the tariff pause.
No. March 2nd. That's the strategic
ADA.
reserve tweet. Yeah,
Strategic reserve.
that right
tweet.
there is the strategic reserve tweet. The market manipulation by Senor Trump. So, and then you can see, boom, and that shot us right out of. So that shot us right above the 50 line, and then we just gave it right back. It only took 5 days to give it back, right back in bear territory. So I'm telling you guys, overall, now is the time. I wouldn't say like to open a short, but so when traders, when we dip, they long the dip, right? In a bull market, you long the dip. The price dips, you know we're in a bull run, you're looking for an entry to long, right? This scenario, in my opinion, every time we pump, I would be looking for a short. I would be looking for that correction. You know, eventually you're going to be wrong because eventually the trend is going to change, but we're still in a downtrend. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. We are in a downtrend. If you would give us better news, we would be more interested. I'm sorry, Posy. I don't want to just say we're going to the moon every day. But this is good news. This is accumulation news, bro. This is when you should be accumulating all summer and getting prepared for the next leg of this 2025 bull run. And then that'll be probably mid-September. You know, maybe late August, mid-September, we're going to start to gain steam. October, we're going to start pumping. November, probably top out, you know, end of November is my opinion. I mean, I'm just going by like the last 4 years. I'm not even going by cycles. I'm just going by like the last years that we've seen this. You know, 22, even at the end of 22, we got a pump. The bottom was in 22. We got the pump. Let's see. Let's break this down. Let's go to weekly. Let me get on a different chart with nothing on it. Okay. Let's go here. We're on the weekly. Let's go to Summers. What is this? 22, June of 2022, right? Boom. Let's go forward. October, November. So this is the actual like bear market. But so this started pumping in January of 23. We started taking off. I guess that's not a good example. But if we come back to the bull run, May, boom, boom. What's that? July, August, we get back, boom. September, boom. We shoot to new all-time high, right? Remember, this is a recorded space. So, you know, Q3, like what's that? Bull run, Q3, Q4, right? September, boom, we take off. We move forward. There's 23. Look at that. What's that? October 23. Boom, we take off, right? We trail back down in 24. What's that? September 24. Boom, we take off. So there's no reason to believe, unless we are truly in a bear market, unless we're right here in the 2022 area, which I don't think. Because even if we come back here, you know, so 2022, we got to take off, we dump, and then December. It's not until December. So even if it's the same thing and we get out here about August, boom, I think that's going to be our next takeoff point, personally. Unless we're in a full-blown bear market. Let's see, what's this? April, July, August. That was the bear market. So that's what I'm looking at. I am accumulating. And when we look at right here, XRP looks exactly the same. This is the weekly for XRP. Super oversold. So this is going to start to run up. It can only stay oversold for so long. You know, the weekly on XRP is actually above the 50, though. It's still holding strong in this bear territory right here, or this bull territory right here. The daily XRP Same thing as Bitcoin, except we're actually above the 200 on the daily, but still the Stokes are overbought, rolling over. RSI is in the bear territory, and we are in this falling wedge. And we tried to get up to the top, and what we do? Boom, we wicked right to this SR level at 223, couldn't maintain it, fell back down, and now we're hoping the 21 keeps us above the 21 and we don't lose 204. So
Third Patriot just got, oh dang, did that send twice? It did.
Yeah.
Third Patriot late tonight, what I missed. So we gave you a shout out when we were talking about the XRP ETF and a couple hacks and Mantra going down 90%. So that was pretty crazy. And we got a little video there at the beginning. But
honestly, Third Patriot, what you missed was, and I'm not going to tell you where it is because you got to watch everything. We gave everybody the secrets to the universe. Between now and the beginning of the video, at some point, we gave everybody the secrets to the universe. And if you don't watch the whole thing, you're going to be left out. I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah. We called the top.
Yeah, we called the top.
We called the top. So you're going to have to be looking for that. Yep.
Don't
42.
tell him, Ozzy. Don't tell him what it is. Damn it.
Well,
all right, guys.
Tuesday, I've got a heart out. We appreciate you all for joining us. We will be here tomorrow night. Definitely, because I only work at Starbucks tomorrow. So
Nice.
I'll be here. I won't be working a 12-hour shift by surprise. But thank you guys for joining us. We come to you live, bringing you the daily news nightly, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. We appreciate all of you, and we will see you tomorrow night. Peace.
Introducing the relaunch of JPEG Boss Mint, a game changer in the NFT world. This isn't just another mint. It's a community-governed project where you hold the power. Here's the deal. 50% of all mint funds fuel a community investment wallet controlled by boss holders like you, driving collective growth. The proceeds, 60%, go straight back to active participants, rewarding your engagement. 20% powers overhead and expansion, and the final 20% flows to JPEG Empire until the seed funding's repaid. Join the revolution, mint with purpose, govern the future, and reap the rewards.